Hey guys, Retro Stitch Gaming here, back again with another top 10, and this time we're counting down our top 10 Sega Megadrive games, or Sega Genesis for those of you in the US. This was the first game console we both owned as kids, so it holds a very special place in our hearts, and without it, who knows, we might not be the massive gamers we are today. We still have both our systems hooked up in our game room to this day. As always, we'll be sticking with the one game per franchise, else this would be full of Sonic games, and don't forget, this is just our opinion, so it might be very different to your own list. But make sure you let us know in the comments below your favourites. So without further ado, let's begin.
In at number 10 we have Mortal Kombat 2. This was the first fighter for both of us. We absolutely loved all the awesome characters, each with their own unique skill set and special abilities. It added a lot of new playable fighters compared to the first instalment, and we adore all the epic and gruesome fatalities. Many hours were spent button mashing on this classic, even though we both suck at fighters.
In at number 9 is Earthworm Jim. I absolutely adore this wacky side-scrolling platformer. I wasn't really a fan as a kid as I found the game to be quite difficult, but after coming back to it years later, I learned how to appreciate how great a game this really is. It's full of really humorous moments with colourful graphics and interesting gameplay. I really love the attention to detail in the gross and disgusting backdrops. This game is definitely worth checking out if you haven't played it before.
In at number 8 is Castle of Illusion. This is the first Disney game on our list, but it certainly won't be the last. This instalment sees you play as Mickey Mouse trying to save Minnie Mouse from a devious witch. It has beautiful, colourful graphics as you make your way through a vast number of playable levels. With an upbeat and catchy soundtrack and dynamic gameplay, this game has definitely left a permanent imprint on my heart and space on our top 10 list.
In at number 7 is Road Rash. This combat racer is so cool and edgy. I love how aggressive it is, as the game is not just about how good you ride, but also how good you can batter your competitors with clubs, chains and your fists. You start off with a pretty crappy bike and must perform well in races to unlock and upgrade new motorcycles. I used to play this game a lot as a kid with my dad, so it means a lot to me.
In at number 6 we have Quackshot. So here is the second Disney game to make our list. You get to travel the world as good old Donald Duck, travelling from Mexico to Duckburg to even visiting Dracula in his castle in Transylvania looking for hidden treasure. You have a really unique weapon to say the least, as it allows you to fire plungers which can be upgraded throughout the game. You are later able to access areas you were unable to previously get to before. Most of all, I love this game's epic soundtrack, especially the Duckburg tune.
In at number 5 is Comic Zone. You play Sketch, a comic book artist who's working on a comic piece centering around aliens and mutants, when he is suddenly absorbed by his own story. It's a really unique and original idea for a game. You have to work through the comic book frame by frame as you fight enemies in a classic brawler fashion. The visuals are stunning and artistic as you can imagine. It looks like it's straight from a comic book. The game was released quite late in the Mega Drive's lifespan, so a lot of people haven't had the chance to play it. We'd never heard of it until a few years ago when we picked it up really cheap at a car boot and fell in love with it instantly.
In at number 4 we have Streets of Rage 2. This is one of my all-time favourite beat-em-up games. It improves the gameplay from the classic first game, with new moves and health bars for all enemies, which helps you prioritise who to take out first. It's one of our favourite cooperative games, as we absolutely smash it every time. Not to brag. It's just fun to clean up the streets. We love the 80s, 90s punk rock visuals and vibe you get when you play this game.
In at number 3 is Gunstar Heroes. This game is insane. For a game from this era, the gameplay is so fast, in your face and upbeat, with so many enemies appearing on the screen at one time, which makes it hard to keep track of what's going on. It has cool, colourful graphics and an awesome soundtrack, and memorable boss fights. There are 4 gun types to choose from, and you can combine 2 at a time, which in total gives you 14 possible combinations, all being amazing. Yet another game on our list with an absolutely classic co-op system and interesting levels.
In at number 2, we have Aladdin. Yet another Disney game has made our list. Disney, for me, definitely excelled in this adaptation of Aladdin. Disney has such a fantastic run with the production of gaming for this generation era. I honestly don't know where to begin with this game, because for me, it has the whole package. The gameplay is fun and entertaining, with a great combat system involving your sword and throwing apples. It has a fun mini-game where you get to play as Aladdin's sidekick and best friend Apu. It oozes senses of humour as you get to chop down enemies' trousers and reveal their underwear. The game definitely speaks volumes and goes beautifully hand in hand with the film adaptation. But for me, and I'm pretty sure a majority of people out there will agree, my favourite thing about the game is the 16-bit rendition of the film's classic songs. If you're a big fan of the 90s Disney films, you should definitely check out some of the other games that unfortunately didn't make our list, such as Toy Story, Lion King, and so much more.
And our number 1 Sega Megadrive game is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I'm pretty sure you've all seen this coming, Sonic game at number 1. But what else could it be? Sonic is Sega. Sonic 1 was the first video game I ever played. It's what made me love video games. And then Sonic 2 comes along and blows it out of the water, improving everything and adding cool mini-games and bonus levels. Sonic's sidekick, Tails, also joins you in this game, as he stays by your side as you progress through the levels. The boss fights are just as crazy and inventive, as Dr. Robotnik returns with more wacky inventions and machines. And best of all is Sonic himself. I love that little blue speedball, and he's just such an iconic mascot for Sega. It's a shame the more modern games are terrible, but on the Mega Drive they were all incredible. But the latest, Sonic Mania, was a great callback to these retro classics and very enjoyable, and hopefully the franchise is back on track.
Well, there you have it, our top 10 Sega Mega Drive games. Thank you for all who took the time to watch our video. We would love for you to comment down below your favourite Sega games. Please don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. We will be back next week with another top 10.